And you know who I am. That's right. Hello, everybody. I am back. It's your host, Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. It is the interview series that has been coming to you for, 9 years. We're going to have a big old 10-year birthday party. There's always a piñata at a 10-year-old birthday party. I'm thinking that's mandatory. So we will be celebrating with you then, and we have been celebrating with you on the journey. We bring to you industry experts from all over our beautiful globe that can help you improve your personal life. That's right. Live the best version of your life now and grow your business so that you can leave an inspiring and inspirational impact later. So live your best life now, inspire for a legacy. And today we have two not just beautiful, but gorgeous guests. We have Matt Hilliard and Carina Reeves. I'm telling you, royalty and related to Superman, I'm pretty sure. They are relationship guides and healers working with couples to create more joy. There is no such thing as too much joy. Like, you can always have more joy, intimacy, and teamwork in their lives. I love this so much because I'm going to try to listen, but I am just so want to talk about my hot hunky husband of 26 years. So, all right, Matt and Carina, how did you decide you were going to be all that and more for couples out there?
I've always been obsessed with relationships.
I think I have in one way or another.
In one way or another. I remember being like 10 years old and just being like, how does this work? How do I meet people? Wait, there's like stuff, and we get to like make our own house, and then we get to have babies. I've always been obsessed.
Yeah, I remember wanting a girlfriend when I was 7 or 8.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't have one for a few years, but I wanted that closeness. I wanted that experience of intimacy, which wasn't a word I knew then.
Yeah, and then we had terrible marriages.
It's like this is awful.
Yeah. I mean, not all of it. I know to other good people, yes. But at the end of the day, it was like, well, I know for me, I was like, there's stuff I don't know. And there's stuff I don't know, and I really want to know. I want a relationship that feels amazing. And so I went on a quest. When my marriage ended, I was like, I'm going to find out. I took 2 years. I deep dove. I did a full year training in Neo-Tantra and sex, love, and relationships. And I started working with energy work, and I manifested this guy. I got everything aligned. I got myself ready. And if we have time, I'd love to tell you about our first date because it was utter magic. But
we'll absolutely have time. And when I met, so my husband was married 9 years and I was married 7, and our spouses left us for other people. And we met at a playground, and he had his children there and I had my children there, and our 2 oldest children started playing together, and they were actually born on the same day but different years. But as we were dating, one of our songs, because we have several songs, is by Savage Garden, and it's I loved you before I met you, because I did breathe him into life. I totally did manifest him, and I didn't, fascinating enough, really go through all that work. So I want to let Matt share a bit of his story, but then I want to hear your first date, and I'm totally going to tell you about ours.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I love it.
You tell me yours and I'll tell you mine.
I remember when I was still married and having my dishes in the sink, doing the dishes, and my then wife was trying to talk to me about something, and I was pissed off. But I wasn't saying why. I was just being monosyllabic, passive aggressive, which I was very good at, still can be sometimes, and just going through the motions because I didn't want to cause any conflict. I was massively conflict averse. I could sit on stuff for days, weeks, and I could feel that I'd just carry the stress in my body. It was what I was used to. It was what I grew up with in my family home. And I worked really hard to avoid conflict. Jump to today. We had a little bump just before this cool.
It
was tiny,
no one else would think it was a bump,
but we moved through it in minutes, seconds almost.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to do that, and I learned very direct and pragmatic ways to work through that. And I did a training. It was a year. It turned into 2 years. The second year, I became a TA at this relationship school, and I loved it because a lot of what I learned was so practical. And I was like, these are simple things that most of us don't know. We're not taught them. We're not modeled them. Nobody's telling us about them. And they make the day-to-day life so much easier. And it's the moments in the day-to-day life that create the relationship. If the day-to-day moments suck for too long, then you have a lousy relationship. If you can turn those inevitable bumps around in minutes instead of days or weeks, then you can have a wonderful relationship.
And it truly is the teeny tiny stuff. Like when my husband and I got together, we created out of love, not out of control or anything else, together these beautiful I'm going to call them rules because they're sacred to us. We cherish these rules about how we communicate, how we behave, actions we take, things we do, stuff that happens on the regular for us. And it has, there isn't anywhere or anyone else we would rather be spending our time with. Like, you know, not that this is a bad thing, but I know some men are desperate to get their golf clubs and head off for 5 hours on the golf course, or go work 5 hours on remodeling a car, or do whatever. And we're excited when we get our minutes together and thinking about how we're going to spend those and what are we going to do with them. And you know, and people think about, empty nest syndrome. Well, we probably would be the most culture shocked for an empty nest since we've had so many. And we're already excitingly planning all of the amazing things that we're going to do to continue to enjoy and love and in each other. So there's no fear of that, you know. I mean, and I guess we have so many that we're planning not telling anyone where we move. We'll find you. Don't call us. We'll find you.
I love that so much, Jessica. We have that too, and it's something we teach. We call them relationship agreements. We call them our agreements, and we've written them down, and we also cherish them. And sometimes we forget, and we lovingly call each other back. Or sometimes things need to shift, or something comes up, and it's a living document that lets us rest in. I think a lot of people reinvent the wheel over and over again, and our brains love a system. And yourself and your relationship, that gift of, if something isn't working, how can we make it work better, as opposed to why aren't you doing it how I'd like. So that shift from me to we is such a huge, honestly, systemic piece that's reflected. Relationship is a microcosm of our culture. And so our culture right now is figuring out how to be a we. And you can start, if you're like not liking all of the like lone wolf individual greed, is that fair? That's out in the world right now, maybe desperation, maybe survival. Look and see where that's happening in your own relationship, and you can start to see where, okay, I'm just going to dive in. One of the big pieces that we've found is how you feel in your body, and specifically how you feel in your heart. Does your heart feel armored up, protection, judgment, defensiveness? Or is your heart open, which feels like curiosity, warmth, care, love, compassion? How are you in your heart as you're relating to yourself? How do you judge or love yourself? How do you judge or love them? It will be the same as how you are in the world. And the gift is that is part of what is the cutting edge of what I believe people are learning, is that you are not a soft caramel melting on the sidewalk if you are open. You are actually calmer in your nervous system. You're actually more in your wise, aware frontal lobes. You can make better choices. You can be more aware of where your intuition is trying to lead you. And we had a client last week or a couple of weeks ago where there's so many lies of what having a closed heart will get you and what's required that for you to give up with an open heart, and it's not true. So the lie that was on the table was that if I'm open, then I give him everything he wants. If I'm open, then I'm always being nice. And one of the biggest shifts that gets to happen, the learning curve, if you will, of coming from an open heart, is that you get to then hold your boundaries, your desires, how you're working together and what you're working towards with this calm, kind, wise strength, empowerment. It's not an unkind edge to have what you'd like. It's actually the most beautiful, loving edge, because when you step over it to give him what you think he or she wants, even if it's not what you want, you are actually stepping over yourself and not being your full, honest space with him or with yourself. And that breeds resentment, not the asking for what you really want. It's been such a shift for us to allow ourselves to really ask, well, what do I really want? And that layer is always, how does it feel in my body? You probably find this with your guests about business and money too. We think we want all the money and all the clients and all the success, but at the end of having it, if it's just a box to check, as opposed to the safety that I'll feel, the calm of having more than enough, the feeling of being worthy and needed and wanted, the cool thing is that all those feelings can happen first. And that is such a more organic, intuitive, wise way to flow in business and in life.
Well, you've talked about a couple of things, and Matt, I don't know if you're just a pretty face in this show, because the two girls, I'm not sure why. I will have to give you insert because, and I'm just going to warn the audience, this is going to be a longer show than normal because we have so much to cover. And too many important things to talk about. And this is probably the one you should listen to many, many times, because you'll find something new in it that touches you as you do. So two things that I can't let go, and then we'll let Matt have a comment. One is when you are, we'll let you say something. Don't worry.
So much. Yeah.
He knows to let me run until I like say I'm complete.
So, when there is a challenge in a relationship, there's a couple of things that have to happen. You talked about feeling how you feel in your heart, when you're having that relation, trying to figure out what's going on with your own feeling. The first thing I think that's important to do is let the other person know, I need a minute. So I need until 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. Once you're, home from work and I'm home from work, we can sit down, have a cup of tea at the coffee table, or sit out on the front porch together and talk through this a little bit more. But I need to try to figure out where I am on it, and I need this much time. And I was the person on the other end who needed to know, because I had the partner that would say, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm like, what do you mean? Don't know. How can you not know? It's your feelings, And then I need to think about it for a while. Well, what's a while? A while is a week, tomorrow, a month. A while means we'll never talk about it again until we have the next argument about it. What's a while? I need a time.
Yes. Great.
Foundational skills. Yeah.
And so we've always come up with, because he's like, I need to think about this for a bit. I'm like, great. What's the date? When's our date?
Yeah.
And dates are wonderful and magical. So we call it a date. So when's our date? Because, we need the time for the discussion. No, nobody wants to do that. No one wants to have the discussion. We have a date. Okay.
Oh,
We make a date because that's why I like the word puzzle. Puzzles are fun and solvable, and people buy them for enjoyment. So I'd rather solve a puzzle than handle a challenge or a problem. So because nobody buys those, nobody goes out purchasing a challenge or a problem. People go out and spend good money on a puzzle because they're fun and they're solvable. Anyway, so giving that other person the understanding that you need to take that time, however long it is, and that you will have this conversation to share and to hear where they stand on it openly, with an open mind and an open heart, that gives that other person that security. Then you can sit with yourself in meditation. And I love that she's talked about really, really heavily focusing on our heart, because this is heart related, but the head, the heart, and the gut are your, three brains, but they're also connected to calming yourself down. And then allow yourself to feel whatever the challenge is anywhere in your body, because maybe you'll feel it in your hand, or maybe you'll feel it in your leg. Don't judge yourself. That's okay. Maybe because in your hand, it has something to do with giving or receiving. You're not receiving help well, or you're not open to give as freely because you're concerned for some reason. Or maybe you're feeling it in your leg because there's movement involved and you have to make a huge change and you have to go somewhere. I always say, itchy palms, money is coming, itchy feet, somewhere I'm going, so you just don't know. So be open to that part. And then you talked about something else that I really want to talk about, the awareness of the body, but there was another piece that was so important. And now I've lost it. That's a sadness, but maybe it'll come back. Matt, while I think, you get a chance to talk.
So many men don't know what they're feeling. I used to be one of them. I still don't always know, but I was really cut off from the neck down, other than sort of, sexual stuff or, physical pain or exertion. And it was, I remember sitting in one of my first men's circles, and we were literally naming what we were feeling. It was like being in kindergarten, like grown men, like 15 of us. I'm feeling a bit nervous, and I know that because I've got a sort of like swirling in my belly. It was that basic, and it was that necessary as well to get connected with that part of myself. It's part of I run a men's group. I've been doing the work for over almost 20 years now. So many men still need it. They need the permission, and they need the guidance. The number women have it too. The number of people we work with, where, how are you feeling? Oh, well, I was thinking that No, like, what's the sensation in your body? Oh, well, I was thinking it's like, it's a practice for those that weren't encouraged, allowed, rewarded for noticing what was happening in our physiology, in our nervous system. It's a journey. And we were talking at the beginning about joy. Joy used to scare me. It's witnessing a partner being joyful. I remember with my ex, when she was joyful, I would be a little bit suspicious and contemptuous of it. And I think beneath that was jealousy. I'd be like, she's being silly, like she's overreacting. There's internal monologue happening. And like, that's horrible. She would probably feel that she would probably feel that in some way, sense that in some way, like my judgment. And it took me being able to have my feelings, notice them, pay attention to them, honor them, to be able to experience my own joy. And now joy is a delight. If it's my joy, if it's Karina's joy, if it's my kids' joy, like bring it on. More of that, please. It feels incredible. And that process, I grew up in a house where anger wasn't allowed. Not allowed. It was my dad said it's a negative emotion. It serves no purpose. But I would have these feelings that they couldn't be anger because anger wasn't allowed, but like something like I couldn't name it. And naming something is so helpful. Naming something we're experiencing is so helpful. But he would be angry. He just wouldn't name it as anger and he wouldn't express it. He would just carry it. And it'll be this storm cloud in the house that we couldn't name and he couldn't express. And that shit gets trapped in the body. And to name it, to connect with it, to give it permission. With anger, you want to express it safely and cleanly. To learn about that, but it's a journey for men.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
So just look at the logistics for a second. If a feeling is bad, and you're not allowed to have it, just do a little experiment with me. This is an experiment I learned from an amazing coach, Joe Hudson. Just for a minute, we're gonna do a little experiment if you're up for it. Please, please, please do this on your end. You can do it. It's completely invisible except for your own experience. For the next 5 seconds, let's not feel any emotion at all. Just for the next 10 seconds, starting now, just don't feel any emotion. Nope, not that. Don't feel it. Nothing. Nope. Okay. Anyone else held their breath and take your entire body?
Yeah.
I did all my breath.
Right?
I did.
So there is that literally happening when you are not allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling. You are cutting off what is life force? What is chi? It is flow. It is flow. They've done studies. 90 seconds. If you don't reactivate a feeling with a brain story, it takes 90 seconds approximately to feel and finish feeling, to let it have its arc, to have a feeling and a sensation have its surge, its wave. And I believe that a huge part of what society, especially something like an English society as opposed to an Italian society, different societies had different ways of processing emotion. And I believe that for the societies that restricted emotion more, when you start, you have to maintain the dam, because the fear is that if you do start to feel, we hear this from our clients all the time, what if it never stops? And what if I lose myself? So there's this very gentle repatterning, trauma processing, kindness, love, and trust that you need to open yourself. There's a wonderful word that I love to use for this particular piece of starting to process emotions, and it's called titration. And it's that you get to choose like a camera lens how much to feel at once. You do not have to feel 100% of the sadness you've been hiding from all at once. You can feel 1%, and those little practices, just like the little moments in your day, it's like going to the gym. It's like going to the nervous system gym. It's like going to the feeling gym. It lets you learn that feelings are safe. It lets you learn that it's okay to like relax your body. It lets you learn that you won't be maybe your dad like judged or resented, that you can hold yourself in that experience, and then your life force starts to flow, and then joy can come. One more thing that Joe Hudson says, I'm a bit obsessed with him right now. He says that joy is the matriarch of the family of emotions, and she will not enter a house where all her children are not welcome.
That's interesting,
isn't it?
Yeah. All right. So I have 3 comments, and then I want to hear your first date.
Oh yeah.
How about that? How about that? All right. And I didn't forget them. I held them firm. And I'm going to, where do I start? I did have a moment where I guess my frustration was I have done a lot of work, and I have done deep. I've done all kinds of therapy. I have done so much work. Okay. Releasing and forgiving and all that beautiful jazz.
Mhm.
And so when what I've recently learned is that it's okay to acknowledge when a feeling comes up because of something reminds me of something that I have worked through.
Yeah.
So I was afraid to admit, oh, that thought made me sad, because I didn't want the sadness to swallow me, because it had
Yeah.
swallowed me before. But I've already done that work. And I also didn't want to admit that I was sad for that second, for that flash of a memory or a moment, even because then that means maybe I'm not healthy. And I am very healthy and I'm happy and I've done the work, damn it. I gotta be careful because what we say, but I really have. And so I think what I've learned recently was and it's so funny, I literally imagined it. I had a moment where I was dealing with a memory, and the memory appeared in my front lawn as a giant metal monster, like, big and scary and shiny silver and black. And I went out and I thanked it for it being here. I knew that we've had this dance before. We've met. I have the forgiveness, I have the love, and I just slowly started to take the monster apart little by little and make it into beautiful soft flowers and release them into the air. So I'd take some scissors and cut this piece of sharp, horrible metal, and I rubbed my fingers through it and it became this velvety soft rose petal, and I was able to let it go. And one of the other things that happened to me with the feelings is not wanting to, you don't want to be stuck in sadness, right? And so I would not look back at my past or my childhood, because there were things that were sad there. But you know what else? There were things that were so wonderful. I have some amazing memories. So I've lately been celebrating joyfully and I've been writing and blogging and even making posts about them. Even if there's, a relationship connected to them that I've had to work through and forgive and just kind of even release from my life, I'm still honoring and cherishing and celebrating and announcing the joyful part of the memories. So that's one thing with the feeling. And I recently did an interview with someone before you guys that we did this exercise where I had to write, I think, and here's my I think statement. I think joy is found everywhere, and then I'm growing every day, and I am one with love. And then she said, well, now write it as I feel. And then I feel joy is found everywhere. I feel I am growing every day, and I feel I am one with love. And then she said, write it as I am. And it's much shorter. It's I am joy. I am growing every day. I am love. And, and so I love that you were talking about that, Matt. And the final and most important thing is, when we were talking about that exercise of going and giving your partner warning, but then going off and being with yourself to meditate, to feel things in your body. That other thing I forgot was to also ask, after you're done meditating, ask yourself, and maybe even journal about, am I in love with me? And what part of this challenge or piece is my challenge with me? Because one of the things that happened when I started dating my husband is I had a dual love affair. I mean, it was easily a 3 or a foursome, because I was deepening my love with God, and I was falling madly in love with myself. And so I became embraced in this deeper and deeper, more spiritual experience with God. And every day I loved myself in waves more than almost being like washed with a giant ocean wave of love for myself. And then I get to peer up on the shore there and see this amazing man who was loving me back. And so that loving yourself can often be the friction in the relationship of, you know, you wanting them to feel something that you really are needing to fill yourself. So those were my 3 important comments before we went forward. So
yeah,
I don't usually talk this much in my interviews. I'm going to tell you, so I will apologize a little bit.
Oh, I love it.
This topic is so important to me because
Yes.
people matter most, and relationships are my jam for sure. I absolutely adore them. And
you're so beautifully aware and wise. It's wonderful for us to listen. I'm picking up tips. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now tell us your love story, and then I'll share your mine, and then we'll talk about the different ways your customers come in, work with you, and all that great wonderfulness, because I know everyone's going to want to know, because they're going to want all of our relationships just like ours. Uniquely wonderful for them. How about that? I think everything is uniquely wonderful for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes, and this awareness that you've started with, it's part of what we got to start with too, that we'd fallen in love with ourselves, and we were feeling this magic in the world. I'd started meditating, and I'd had my awakening. I felt like I was in this tractor beam of love when I was meditating and connecting to this like rainbow of joy and miracles. And I remember starting to, I go in waves of dating. One day I'm going to have a dating program, because I really love my online dating. I'm this weird unicorn who absolutely loved it. I found this like wave of like having, you know, really honestly, anything can be a path to self-discovery. And so we believe that relationship is a path. We also know heavily parenting is a path. We know that business and entrepreneurship is this huge path. Anyway, so I had this little mini path of dating being a path to my self-discovery in the world. And then so I was on the socials, on the we were on Bumble was our app, and I saw you, and you were this wonderful, I could feel the pain behind your eyes. You used that photo for a long time, and I was like, baby, I can feel the pain in your heart, but you were still so beautiful, and like I could feel your bravery and your courage out in the world. Anyway, and then he had this adorable bio. I'm not telling the story very well. Okay, cut to. I was so excited about this date that I stopped and did a little Facebook Live just before. And I just shared how open my heart was, how much magic was in the world, how I believed everything was working out. I was so excited. It's just a little live. And then I walked in. We went to the AGO, which is the Toronto, this gorgeous Frank Gehry building. It's the Art Gallery of Ontario in Toronto. And you were standing there. You looked fantastic. You dressed up because that morning I'd had pictures taken, and I'd let him know that I was going to have a full face of makeup, and I don't normally wear fake eyelashes. And he said, well, I'll do my best to like meet you there. And so we were very dressed up, very gorgeous. Yeah. And I gave you a hug right away, which you loved. Yeah. And I found out later that it was his very first date after his divorce.
Yeah.
I love that. Did you guys take a selfie?
We didn't.
It was it was like six.
Yeah, we just didn't.
You did a Facebook Live though, but no selfie.
No selfie. No selfie. It was. I was only a few months out of my marriage, and I had this vision of playing the field, being on exploring dating after years and years. Like who am I now? Who am I now out there? Meeting people, meeting women, and I was coming towards the end of my coaching training, and I'd learned so much about myself, about relationships, my needs, my desires, and when we met, I was like, oh, feels like it's all here. I was really struck by how I mean, I had first date nerves, but I was also struck by how calm my nervous system felt with Carina, walking around the AGO, chatting away. We chatted about some heavy stuff. And it was, it was a way that I hadn't felt in my marriage for years. I mean, here and there, yeah, but overall, like, no, like nervous system shot to pieces. So to be, I had that awareness of like, oh, I feel calm.
We had
around,
so much fun
around this person, and it was and it was fun, and it interestingly, when on Bumble, so before we met, like doing the swiping thing.
Oh, and if you haven't done Bumble before, Bumble's special because the woman messages first, so there's this very sort of feminine forward appreciation on that app.
Yeah, and calling back to the joy thing, there was I'd sort of connected with a number of women on the app, but there was a photo of Carina, one of Carina's photos, where she was just like lit up with joy, and I come, so I'd done whatever it was to show my interest in you, and some of these other women had messaged back, and I was like, this is the woman I really want to hear back from. Like, I was like, this woman is the one I want to hear back from. And it was a few days. I was like, will she ever reply? And I was so excited when you responded. I was like, oh, I think I may have even shared that. Just like, yes, like this feels fantastic.
And then we went on and we shared and we chatted through. We had so much in common.
Yeah,
so much. Yeah. Even on that first date, he was already he thought about my experience. And he was aware there was this incredible installation that was by, I think, a First Nations artist. And he used found materials in organic forms. So he had like this crazy thing that was hockey equipment made into totem poles, but he also had a life-size whale made out of garden chairs. And Matt saw it first. It sounds bizarre, but it was breathtaking. He saw it first.
It was like in this other room. I could see through the doorway into this other gallery, and this massive thing hanging suspended from the ceiling. I was like, that's incredible.
But I was turned away. I hadn't seen it yet, and he waited for me to turn and then waited to see what my face would do. And he enjoyed watching me get to be struck with the wonder and the beauty of this installation, and it just kept on going from there. And then the second part of the date was our Roman holiday, because he had driven to the AGO on a scooter, and then we got to scoot around Toronto in this hot summer night. I was wearing this really cute dress, and he was wearing this like fancy white outfit, and my hair was blowing, and we just scooted around and got a drink later, and then he scooted me home and gave me a very passionate kiss, and we had plans to see each other again eventually at some point. There was some traveling to England in a way, but
some travel logistics.
And I told him later, for me, I fell in love with him that night. I knew I wanted more. I knew I loved being with him. I knew that my heart felt open, and I felt like I could be fully myself, and it felt so good. So good. Yeah. Took him a little longer. He was still a bit shell-shocked. It's okay.
Yeah, I had a few things to navigate before I could fully land. But it was so that initial impression of the connection and the calm and the allowance, the permission. Like all things that I knew I wanted and had a felt sense of by that time existed here. Not only existed here, but we both had some tools and approaches, whether it was individually or together, to kind of get back to those places when stuff came up.
I love that. That's a beautiful story. So how many years together have you been?
6 and a bit. Yeah, 6.5.
6. So when you're at your 50th, you'll be able to have this video of you guys sharing your love story.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know, this is legacy. I love that
Yeah.
when in the moment we're creating the legacy and the story of our lives. So so you want to hear my
Yes,
love
please.
to.
my love story? So I had been married, like I said, 7. He had been married 9. He had been divorced 3 years and hadn't dated anyone. And I had been divorced a year, and I had a 6-month-old baby because it was I was only a few weeks pregnant when he moved in with someone, and based on the laws, it was a very fast divorce, and so, you know, it just moved quickly. So I had divorced a year. I had a little baby and 3 toddlers. So I had 4 children, and he had 2 daughters from his first marriage that were a bit older. And at that point, I had gone on a few dinner dates, but I wouldn't let them meet my children. I wasn't really interested in finding someone. And I kind of decided in my mind that I knew I wanted love in my life, and I didn't want to be alone. It's not really my personality, but I thought, well, when they're in high school, right now, had started going back to a community college. I was living with my parents. I was working on getting a home for us. I thought by the time they're in high school, then I could give myself permission to really maybe look for someone. This was my plan. But I have this gaping, painful, horrid, like I felt like someone had shot a physical hole through me. There was so much burning pain. And my parents, I was raised very religious. I'm very spiritual now. And I still have appreciation for some, you know, tradition and pieces of religion, and respect lots of people's religions and all that jazz. But there was this image of Jesus, who's still a very big part of my life. I love him still. But he had this flowing, glowing thing coming literally from his heart. There's a name for this image. I forget, my merciful heart or something, maybe. If I messed it up, don't judge me. I'm still a good person out there, anybody watching. Only nice comments in the comment bar. But anyway, all I kept saying is, you know, I don't really want a relationship, but I need you to fill this up. And I know only you can fill it up. Just fill this up. And so I was literally going to against my parents' better wishes. And I knew every church in a driving distance. Really didn't matter what denomination it was. It was, I mean, Catholic, Baptist, it didn't matter. As long as it was, you know, they believed mostly the whole, you know, God thing. I wasn't going anywhere that was believing in downstairs, but I didn't really care. I just needed this every day. I needed to go somewhere. And I knew the schedule. I was like, not a bar hopper. I was a church hopper.
You were a church hopper.
I was the way I was breathing. So I didn't do drugs. I didn't go drinking. I didn't, you know, I couldn't let myself fall apart. I had too many little people who counted on me. I had to get my act together, had to keep my head in the game. So I was like, okay. So I had gone to 8 o'clock church that morning, and the reading was when the woman is in the crowd and hemorrhaging, and she reaches and pushes through and just touches the cloak of Jesus. And he knows right away the energy, and he turns and says, you know, she's healed like right away from this hemorrhaging. And then, you know, he says, who touched me? And that was the reading during service. And I did my normal thing. I sat in the back of the church, cried and bawled my eyes out, allowed myself to like totally, that's what every church, I would sit in the back of the room, bawl my eyes out, go through the process. And I don't believe in, you know, magical statues or anything like that, but there was a statue of Jesus in that church. And on my way by, I did touch it. And then I sucked up my tears and got myself put back together and went to go take care of my children and do the things I had to do with my kids that day, including going to the playground. And the moment I saw him get out of his very old brown broken down truck and walk across, he's a licensed general contractor. And he walked across the back half of the playground. I'm sitting in the sandbox with, you know, a couple of my toddlers. My older one is playing on a swing thing nearby, and I'm making sandcastles and talking to the kids. And he walked by, and my stomach did a flip. And like I said, I had gone on a few dates, and I was, I wasn't, steady with anyone. There was a couple of people that were taking me out here and there, just not often, because I had too much to focus on with kids. And so I sat there for a very long time thinking, okay, first of all, I have never approached a guy, okay, ever. I have all these kids. I've got my hair in a Wapadoo pigtail and a black t-shirt and jeans on. I've got a 6-month-old and a car seat carrier on my arm. Like, what the heck are you gonna do, right?
Hey, baby!
Exactly.
And you hadn't seen him before at this place?
Never seen him before, ever in my life. He's pushing his kids on a big tire swing thing. What I didn't know is he had fallen when he was pushing them and hit the back of his head on a piece of the wood edging the playground. And he said he actually had a concussion the day he met me, which explains But at one point he had walked towards a slide that was like halfway to where I was. So I walked over to him, and because actually first what happened was I walked over to our 2 oldest children, because they were stuck on this like sliding toy that they were trying to play together. The 2 oldest that I mentioned, that my oldest and his oldest, born the same day, but different years because they're much different in age. But because he's 11 years older than me. And I had chatted with them. And that is how I figured out, though, in that conversation, she's like, yeah, we're here with our real dad. My mom lives here with my stepdad. And I thought, okay, so maybe he's possibly available, because I don't go around talking to men with their children, trying to home wreck anyone either. Let's not get the wrong idea. But it came up very naturally in the conversation somehow as I'm helping them. And so I did walk over to him and I said, I was chatting with your daughter. They were playing with my son, and and I asked if he was seeing anyone, and he said no. And I said, well, what about exchanging numbers and having dinner? And I probably could have vomited on his shoes at that point. But I had decided that in the sandbox, that if I didn't say something to him, because the electricity was so palpable, I literally felt myself vibrating, and I knew that I would wonder my entire life, and I could not live with wondering for my entire life. So we exchanged numbers, and that was it. We had a few phone calls. We went to dinner. He brought me a peach orangish rose, a single rose. And what I didn't know was 2 weeks prior to seeing me, he had gone up into the mountains and hiking with his dog, and he had cried out to God and given him a list of things that he wanted in a partner, a very specific list. Because, like I said, he hadn't dated a soul. He's very shy. He didn't know, it had been 3 years. That's a long time to, And so anyway, we're sitting at dinner, and we talk about everything. We hold hands across the table, and till the restaurant's like empty and they're going to close us down because we're talking forever. And he leans in near the end of the date at the table, and he says, you don't know what this means yet, but you're everything on the list. And then we had a breathtaking, movie-worthy, foot-popping, knee shaking kiss at the end of the night. And from the day that we said hello till we said I do, was 1 year and 3 months exactly. And I have been truly, madly, deeply, incredibly in love and lit up by this man in my life. So that is a bit of our love story.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I loved it.
Yeah, it takes a very special man to take on a woman with 4 small children. We had 6 between us. We raised them together. We once they were all mostly gone and out the door, we finally had 1 together. So now we have 7. We have Kara, and we have a joyful, beautiful, full, wonderful life.
Yeah.
So
thank you. Yeah.
So that's our. I couldn't have the couple specialist on without sharing about our couple.
Love it.
One of the things that stood out is that you both called out for guidance, support, a miracle, a person.
We did.
And it was one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the role that your kids played in facilitating an introduction.
And your bravery.
Yeah,
your
huge courage. That's massive.
Yeah, I was very scared. And that was the first and only time I've ever done that.
Yeah.
For sure. My husband says that our energies are just more powerful together, that he's always been with me. He'll always be with me, and he'll always find me, that death can't take our energies from one another, that we're better together. So, and I believe him that he'll always find me. So, however many times we come to this planet and give it another try, somehow he'll find me.
That's lovely. Yeah.
So let's talk about people who come and find you. As they're looking for this beautiful brilliance, joyful light, and bubbly excitement. I remember literally driving away from our dates and out loud squealing for joy like a child on a roller coaster ride in my car, because I had so much pent up that this is amazingly happening to me.
Yeah, I would do the same. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, just like driving away beaming.
Yes.
And giving myself some room to just feel the glow of it.
Okay. But people coming to you are feeling probably stuck or lost or frustrated, or know that there's something here but need guidance to see if they can bring it back to those exciting first date moments in their relationship.
Yeah, the people that come to us they recognize that piece of what can I do. The people who come to us who get the biggest transformations are ready and willing to look at their side of the street. They're the ones that get the real opening, the heart opening, the healing, oh wait, there's another way I can do that. That willingness to try new things is one of our hallmarks for when we have a client come to us, and we really know we can help when they're willing to try new things. And we're a bit obsessed with like trying new things. I love the words right now, like having experiments, being able to try iterations as opposed to everything is good, bad, right, wrong. It's so limited, and there's so many ways of getting excited about things. And one of the biggest first steps in this like, tell me more, how can this be better, how can we be more kind and in flow and in we together, and it's letting it, whatever's happening that does feel stuck or that does feel like, are we really doing this again, where you feel like caught in a loop, is this opening to letting the stages of change be a journey as opposed to another way that you or they have done it wrong. Do you want to know what the 4 stages of change are? Have you heard of this, Jessica?
Sure. No, I'd love for you to share.
Yeah. So it's such a relief that there are more than one stages of change, because so many of us are like,
I've changed or I've not changed.
Yeah, that's it.
Pass, fail.
And then if you knew you should have changed but didn't change, there's so much blame in the world. Oh, I should have known that. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, why did I do that again? And instead, 4 stages. The first one is to see what you want to change. What's your desire? What else is possible? That in itself, that's why people say, knowing the question is 50% of the answer. Like, it's huge. And then
can I make a first comment on the first thing?
Yeah.
I think that first thing also would apply is finding out from your partner what feels good for them, like what feels like love to them. because sometimes we think we're changing and we're doing all these things, and we're doing all these things to make this other person feel loved because we're showering them in ways that we want to feel loved, but not the way that they actually would feel or receive love. And I had a friend who would get really frustrated because, her past partner would spend all this time on her car, making sure the tires are good, making sure that it was filled up, making sure that it was clean, she didn't care about that at all. And she would just get angry and frustrated, and he thought he was giving her love. And so that first thing is, if we are going to begin to make a change and we want to make things better, and we are going to try to make an effort, I think we need to find out what would change mean to, or what does love feel like or look like from an action standpoint, from the other person.
Yeah. Thank you for slowing me down there. Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because you're sharing, what can I do to make them feel more loved? And I love that. And actually, that stage is often further down the journey, because the first stage is for both partners, for yourself to get really clear on, what do I want? They can't even know what I can give them until they've taken the time to self-reflect what they desire. And so the first way to start that process is to think about it for yourself. And I'm just going to expand one layer to this, which is how much our brain mind patterns and stories run our lives. And what I see, especially with the women, let me know if you see it as much with the men, is that the good girl wants to do everything right, and then we'll get love. So there's a putting to later, once I've checked boxes, right? Once I've been pretty enough, thin enough, nice enough, helpful enough, like whatever those lists are, and then we'll be loved. And so part of the shift that my desire, I challenge you that if you think your desire is that I want to be thinner, I challenge audience people, whoever's listening, I challenge you, what will that actually get you? If you think that what you want is a physical manifestation, go a layer deeper. Will that have you feel loved? Will that have you feel confident? Will that have you feel worthy? And then choose to focus instead at that desire. And that is the place to start with yourself in these 4 stages of change. So that could look like, let's pick a relationship thing. I desire to feel cherished in the morning, to feel alive and like in love with my body and this like life force that's moving through it. Okay. And then how do I want to do that? I want to have a morning ritual of stretching and kisses and a little gratitude practice. Okay. So then you know what you're creating. Then you've named this bigger, deeper desire, and you've started an experiment of how you'd like to create it. Okay. So that's just stage 1. The rest of it's a little bit simpler, I promise. So then step 2 is you see where you could have changed after the fact. The mornings you forget. The mornings where you get in a rush or you wake up late. Oh, and always from the energy of discovery, noticing, oh my goodness, I'm in the 2nd stage of change. It's a win that I saw after the fact where I could have changed. And then the 3rd stage of change is in the moment, seeing the thing, but you just can't change yet. Maybe one of the things you're changing is speaking with the most loving tone, even if you're upset. Oh, I saw it in the moment and I couldn't quite do it yet. And then the 4th stage of change, in the moment, see the thing and do the thing. And it's not a one and done. It's a 1 4 2 2 2 2 2 2 4 3 4 3 4 1 4. And that gives so much kindness and open-heartedness to yourself, that it's a discovery, it's a journey, it's an experiment, it's a evolution, it's a path, as opposed to, did I get there or not get there? It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah.
You've got something.
Yeah. So we teach this amongst other things, and we have 2 programs, and the first one is called Relationship Alchemy, and it's more focused on the self, relationship with oneself, and ways to do this kind of work, to befriend your nervous system, to be able to spend time with your nervous system, with your desires, to really know yourself and be with yourself in a healthy, explorative way.
If relationship is a garden, you've got to till that soil.